Please welcome to the stage Pouyan Salehi, the CEO and co-founder of Scratchpad, and Daryna Kulya, the co-founder of OpenPhone.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Thanks for showing up. It's a lot less windier up here. It was really windy over there, so this is actually pretty exciting. But I am Pouyan Salehi. I am the CEO and co-founder at Scratchpad, joined by Daryna Kulya. And today we are going to talk about how to create user delight when building a bottom-up SaaS business. Let's jump in.
Absolutely. Oh, okay. Whoa, that was crazy. This is a great start. Oh, cool. Well, apparently we're like the last talk before drinks, so hopefully you enjoy it. I know the bar is much higher, but it's such a pleasure to be here. Really excited to chat about user delight and share our examples of implementing it when building a bottom-up SaaS company. So let's jump in. And obviously, oh, okay, this works. Wonderful. Before we talk about delight, let's talk about the current state of SaaS. And look, as a founder, I know that when founders talk about growing a company and growing a product, the first thing that comes to mind usually is growth hacking and creating viral loops, right? There's so much content on that and everyone talks about it, and here as well at the conference. But we believe that before talking about growth hacks and optimizing your funnel and things like that, the number one way that bottom-up SaaS companies grow is actually word of mouth. And the most sustainable way to grow organically and to make sure that you can grow through word of mouth is actually creating delightful experiences for your customers. So instead of thinking, where else can I put like that prompt of, refer a friend, get $50 off? Instead of thinking of the fifth place for that prompt, think about, is my product actually creating a delightful customer experience? Because you know what? If it is, then you don't need 5 of those prompts. Your customers are going to be very happy to tell their friends, tell their network about your product and help you grow. So, the one industry that does this incredibly well is hospitality. And I'm sure, actually raise your hand if you're here from out of town. Who's here visiting? Cool. I'm sure many of you are also staying like, what is it? Airbnb hotel? Is anyone Airbnb? Raise your hand. No, okay. And hotel, I guess the other folks make sense. Cool. So if you're staying in an Airbnb, did your host do something cool for you? Did they like leave you a welcome package? Or like welcome? No, nobody did that. Okay, bad example. But I know when I've stayed in like Airbnbs, a lot of times hosts would leave you like a welcome package. That's very delightful, unexpected. Or, at a hotel, if you are celebrating something, they would leave you a bottle of champagne. The hospitality industry actually thrives or dies on delight. And we believe that should be the same in B2B SaaS. So for example, the other day I went to a bootcamp class at Barry's and I realized that it was my 50th class, which was kind of shocking to me, to be honest. And I did not expect to get any sort of recognition for it, quite frankly, not at all. So I was really surprised that they gave me this lovely note and a free smoothie, which was great after the class. And that was super delightful. And in fact, was so delightful that I put that photo in this presentation and I'm here for free talking about berries. They did not pay me, I swear. I really wish they gave me like a free class or something, but for later. But it was incredibly delightful. And I think we're going to see more and more of this in SaaS. And Pouyan and I are going to talk about different ways that you can incorporate delight in your SaaS product. So the one thing I also wanted to mention is that, you can copy, your competitors can copy your product features all day, every day, but they cannot copy that delightful experience. It's just so much harder to replicate. So I'm going to pass it on to Pouyan. And yeah.
Thank you. I do not have 50 berries classes under my belt to talk about, but I will talk about delight. So here's the thing, delight. It sounds soft, it sounds fuzzy. It's like, how do you actually do it? Growth hacking, okay, you can actually measure it, so maybe we'll go there. What we want to do today is actually talk about how you can break delight down. So our belief is that you can design delight. Well, to design something, it means you need to be able to understand it. You need to be able to break it down so that you can then influence it. The way I like to think about delight is the actual experience that you have, less the expectations that you had going in. Very simple framework, very simple formula, but I'll talk about how you can actually use that in designing delight in your systems. But before we do that, let's look at a couple examples. Let's say after this, I was like, listen, down the street in San Mateo, there's this awesome hole-in-the-wall place. What would you expect? Probably really good food, really terrible service, right? Another example, you go to a SaaS website, you submit your information for a demo request. What do you expect? Maybe somebody contacts you. If they do, they're probably an SDR. If you choose to get on a call with them, they're probably going to run you through their BANT qualification criteria and not give a crap about what you want to actually talk about, right? Pretty crappy experience. The whole point here is that we have mental models that exist for different types of experiences. Go to the next one, please. So, the framework for creating delight is that once we know that users have, we know the formula for creating delight, right? It's the actual experience minus expectations. You combine that with the other point, which is users have a mental model coming in based on their prior experiences. You now have the two components that you could put together to start creating a strategy for delight. So we'll talk about that next. In taking a delight-centric approach, so step one, I think it's critical that you understand the current state of your users. Well, what does that mean? A lot of it breaks down to a design experience. So design researchers do this really well. They say get in the shoes of your users, sit in their seat, do their work. But ultimately, you want to understand, what does their world look like? What are the expectations that they have in using products in your space? What are other companies doing? What is accepted as standard practice? Once you have a really good understanding of that current state, what those expectations are, this is where the fun part begins, because now you can start identifying moments of delight. And there's two key components to this. Number one is, what are the moments of delight that might matter to the person? So imagine, back to that hole-in-the-wall restaurant example. What if you were that hole-in-the-wall restaurant and you not only gave phenomenal food, but you gave a welcome note for the 50th time they came in, right? Or you created some really great service. So it's understanding the moment of delight that matters for the user. And this is the important part, the moment of delight that matters for your business. What is actually going to impact your business in some way? Getting those two, so imagine a Venn diagram where those two overlap. There aren't many of them, but if you get that right, that's where the magic will happen. And third, right, so let's say you do those first two steps. The final step is you architect it and then you create it. And this is where it's really important to remember, users will talk about that delightful moment that they had. So you want that delight to be connected to some core strategic success factor of your business. And ultimately what it matters, what it impacts is your brand, right? How do you want them to talk about you? Because you can create delight on many different dimensions, but what's the one that's going to create a compounding loop for you? So, laying the foundation for this, right? So we talked about how we define it. We talked about how to approach it through strategy. Well, how do you actually make this come to life? And in my belief, and I think Daryna's belief here too, it starts with leaders. So as leaders, you have to act as the master architects and you have to lay the foundation for delight in your team. It must be led from the top. This is not something where you can say, all right, we're going to figure out our product first, and then we're going to figure out sales, and then we're going to come back and create delight. It needs to be embedded into every single thing that you do. And it's important to remember that these delightful experiences that build sustainable word of mouth, because that's ultimately what you want to get to, is sustainable. It keeps building on itself over time. It's comprised of more than just one big moment. It is a sum of a bunch of small moments that exist throughout the life cycle of a user's experience with your company, not just your product. So we talked about strategy, we talked about frameworks, we talked about execution. Let's actually jump into some of the specifics, right? Let's share some examples. This is one that we did at Scratchpad. The topic, right? So the expectation that we went after was feedback. Most folks here know if you're building a SaaS product, if you've used a SaaS product, you've been solicited for feedback at some point. Sometimes you get an email, sometimes there's a button inside the application. What's your expectation? It's probably a form you have to fill out. You have to put your name and your email and your subject. And you're like, gosh, come on, you should already know who I am. I'm using your freaking product. You submit it. Then what happens? Maybe if you're lucky, you get a response. And that response is probably some automated BS response. Thanks for your feedback. Maybe somebody will look at it. So we took that component and we said, let's break that down, right? Those were, and again, I'm going back to the framework we just talked about. Those are the expectations that existed. What did we want to change? We wanted to create a delightful experience here that mattered to the users, but also mattered to our business, right? Because the way we design and build product is really based on user empathy. So we want to understand what is in the mind of a user when they give us some feedback. So we put those two components together. And inside our product, in every single page, there's a link or a button that says wish. You click on it, there's nothing to fill out. It says, what do you wish this page would do? What do you wish this application would do? You put in whatever you want in there. And we've gotten some phenomenal conversations started out of this. Some of the feedback's great, some of it's not, but what matters is it gets us closer to our users and helps us build empathy. In terms of the operational side, so that's just the product, that's not enough. We operationalized it. So I made sure that whenever something comes in, early on, I was responding to every single one of them. I still respond to some of them, but we've designed our internal operations such that somebody would respond right away. That surprised people. They're like, whoa, I just submitted that 5 minutes ago. And then on top of that, they're like, it's actually a human writing back, right? We use simple human language because we're like, guess what? We're simple humans wanting to get curious about why you wrote the feedback, right? None of this is rocket science. It's not even science. It's just the basics that you would do. But what it did is it created such a powerful moment that we had with our users. And some even sent in experiences or feedback that were completely unrelated to the product. In this one case, I don't know, do we have Derek here? I heard he was here. No? Is he there? Oh, he's there. Thank you. It's your wish. It's on stage now. Yeah. So he said, fill my belly with pizza and cookies. What do? We fulfilled the wish. We just put it through our loop. And sure enough, I think it was within a couple of hours, Derek had a pizza and cookies. I forget exactly what store it was from San Francisco delivered. And it created a special moment, right? Now, completely unrelated to the product, but that again, coming back to strategy was important to our brand. We wanted to create a company, not just a product that created delightful experiences. Now, can we scale this and deliver pizza to everybody? I have a feeling we're gonna probably get hundreds of wishes right now. No, but in rare cases you can. And Derek provided fantastic feedback after that. So thank you, Derek, for that feedback.
So you know what to do, right? If you're using Scratchpad, go to the wish button. I know what I'll be doing. That's super cool. We have an example from OpenPhone, and this one is actually very simple and something that each one of you could do like tonight in minutes. So basically, you probably know, I'm sure you use SaaS products. Most SaaS products don't email letting you know to cancel your trial because your credit card is going to be charged. That's just the norm. You expect, sometimes, I'm sure it has happened to you. I know it has happened to me many times, seeing your credit card bill and being like, oh man, I forgot to cancel this trial or something. So we decided, well, look, we want to be the type of company that emails you and tells you that, hey, we're going to charge your card tomorrow. If you didn't get value out of the trial, please cancel. So that's what we did. That email was very easy to write, just a couple of paragraphs. And in the short term, I know it has definitely decreased our trial conversion because there's always someone who forgets to cancel their trial. But we don't care about that. In the long term, we know that we are building a brand, and we also are optimizing for LTV and the experience the customer has with our product. We're building our business not for the people who forget to cancel. We're building it for people who are there intentionally. So we thought it was the right move to make. And I was honestly shocked how many people first responded back to this email saying, whoa, that's cool. No one has sent me an email like this before. And also we've received tweets like this one where people are saying, hey, I'm not intending to cancel, but that was very cool of you. And again, to Pouyan's point, at the end of the day, for us, it's also about our brand and about the long-term customer experience. We care to build that trust. We are not, again, here to optimize the tiny percentages on your trial conversion. We're not here to so that's actually literally something all of you could do tonight, and you'll see this can create a lot of delight for your customers. So to wrap it up, what have we learned here? What are our takeaways? The first one is, instead of chasing growth hacks and small optimizations in your funnel, just think about how you can create that delightful experience for your customers and prospects, and that will be the key to building long-term organic growth for your business. Second, your competitors can copy your features all day, every day. Some of them may already be doing that, right? But it's almost impossible for them to copy and to replicate that amazing experience, that delightful experience that you can build for your customers.
And I'll just wrap up with the last one here. So creating delight and creating delightful experiences can actually create a moat around your product. And there's so many folks that are focused on how do I create moats within my product and have the product be the moat itself. And if you just step back and say, okay, the company is much bigger than the product, but it's just some of all of the interactions that somebody has with us, that itself can be a very strategic moat. So we hope you're walking away today or sitting there with some simple definitions and examples of how to create delight. And more importantly, like I said, a framework for how you can go back and think about how you do it in your business, because this is one where you really it has to match the nuances of your users, your market. And yeah, thank you so much for joining us. And we hope we created some delight here for you today.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.